Welcome to today's class on getting your business online as soon as possible. My name is Dante St James, and we're going to take this hour to explore some of the simplest ways to get yourself online as far as a website, your presence on Google, and your presence on social media are concerned. So I'll share my screen and we'll get underway. What we're going to look at today is getting a website, getting on Google, and getting on social media as the three main areas of accelerating your business coming online, especially if you've never done any of this before. This is a bit of a beginner's journey. So if you've already got yourself on things like Facebook and Instagram, you may want to skip that part of it. But if you've never set up a website, we've got some great ways we're going to show you how to do that, as well as showing you some best practices when it comes to setting up your Facebook page, your Instagram profile, and all those different social media tools like LinkedIn, for instance. And there's also a little thing in there that gets you on Google through a tool called Google My Business. This series is presented to you by Business Station and the Australian Small Business Advisory Services Digital Solutions Program, delivered in Western Australia by Business Station, in Queensland by Regional Development Australia Brisbane, and in the Northern Territory by Treaty Business Consulting. A quote from a philosopher, poet, and general, what do they call him, a guy who just did a lot of stuff back in the early days of the last century. We are moving so fast that when plans are being made to perform some great feat, these plans are broken into by a youth who enters and says, "I've already done it." This sounds like it's a quote from today, but it's actually a quote from 1913 from Albert Hubbard, who even back then knew that there were people who just moved faster than others, and while people were sitting there obsessing over plans and obsessing over the things they wanted to do, there was always someone who was getting in there and just doing it. A little bit about me. I've had an education through the University of New South Wales through a Bachelor and Masters of Marketing and Business Information Systems. I've also done 6 different levels of diplomas with the Chartered Institute of Marketing in the UK. I'll do that remotely though. And also the New South Wales TAFE system. I've done tons of little micro credentials in there as well. But that's also introduced me to Facebook, where I'm a lead trainer, digital marketing associate, and media planning buyer professional, and planning professional, as well as creative strategist and marketing scientist. And then we've also got Google's Digital Springboard, which is another program which will deliver some great stuff through, and the Australian government programs Be Connected, ASBAS Digital Solutions, and new business assistance with NICE, particularly in Darwin and Alice Springs. So when it comes to getting a website, which is the first part of what we're going to look at today, you'll want to look at things like, how much time have you actually got to do and build a website on your own? Now, whilst this is a cheaper option than, say, going and employing a web developer to do one for you, it also is a big investment in time, especially if you've never done anything like this before, or if you're not really a computer-based person. Then there's a consideration about the price. Have you got money up front to get someone else to develop your website? Or have you got the money to be paying for a service where you can do those things yourself? And then if you decide you can get bigger, and if you're going to grow and you're going to develop far beyond where you are right now on your website, are you able to grow that website with the growth of your business? And is the platform you're on, whether that's being built with someone else or you've used an existing platform, able to grow with you? So some of the website platforms I'd like to sort of give you a little bit of a look at are Google Sites, Weebly and Square, and WordPress as well. Now, Google Sites is a very limited platform, but it is a platform which is free and extremely easy to set up. It's a little bit more complicated when you want to go and add your own domain name on there though. But if you're just looking for a general presence on the internet, a general website, something very simple that outlines who you are, what you do, and what you're about, then Google Sites are excellent for doing that, because you can do it yourself and you don't actually need to get any outside help to do it. Best of all, as I said earlier, Google Sites are free. Another platform which is remarkably similar to set up and also very simple to set up is Weebly and Square, and that is by far the easiest e-commerce setup. In fact, if you've already been selling things on something like a food truck or maybe a like a market store, You may already have one of those little white square things so that help you to take credit card payments when you're out on the road and not using something expensive like an FPOS machine. Well, if you've already got that, you've already got a Square account, so you're already halfway there. What this does is allows you to connect that up to an e-commerce presence on a website. Now, whilst it's not free, it started off as free, but if you want to go and grow that into an online store, it's actually not that expensive to do, and probably one of the lowest cost options for setting up a e-commerce website that are available today. And then finally, there's the complex but very infinitely flexible WordPress. WordPress is the biggest of all these tools. It's a tool that is running just about 40% of the World Wide Web these days. And out of all the different systems, like they call them content management systems, that run websites these days, WordPress runs about 70% of the websites that run with those. So you're talking about a very big community, lots of developers, lots of development going on with it, and of course, lots of users. So you're never really short of people to be able to support you, or a community that can help you to build something better. But it does take time to learn. And remember, we were talking about some of the considerations you may have when it comes to, whether you're going to have someone learn how to, to teach you how to do a website, or for you to do a website yourself, whether then you need to have somebody come in and do it, and you're going to pay them to take that time down, or whether you just go, you know what, I do really want to learn this on my own. I really want to be able to have control of my website and know what I'm doing with it. Well, if you haven't done this before, this may be a rude shock to you. It will take you a long time to build that first website. And unless you want to actually go on to be a web developer yourself, building websites for other people and other businesses, that it may not be worthwhile actually going to the trouble of learning how to do it yourself. Because once you've learned it all, you're never really going to do it again. You've already done it that once and built that website for your business. So it does take time to learn. I warn you with that. But if you get help, it can speed up that process with you. And it is flexible enough. You can add on things like shops, you can add on booking systems, all kinds of things to make your website that much more flexible and that much more interesting to be able to use. So first off, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you through the system called Google Sites. So we're going to look in there and go sites.google.com, which brings up something that looks a little bit like this. Now, if you've already got a Google account, you will see this as well. And once you go in here and you see this within your Google account, so sites.google.com, then you just go into blank and we're going to start building a new website. And you'll see that it already lays out something. I might call this one Jack's Nursery, because it's going to be a nursery selling plants. So that's going to start off. Now immediately it starts typing in here. I can add a logo, or just for the ease of it, I'm just going to add in the name of my business so it sits up on that top left hand corner. Now once we're in here, we can view this either as a desktop website, or we can click up here and preview it as a mobile website. So once we preview it, that's what it's looked like so far. This is what it's going to look like on a mobile phone, and this is what it may look like on a tablet. So it gives you an idea that your website is mobile friendly, mobile compliant, and is going to be viewable on all different size screens. Then we go back into the editor, and you'll be able to do different things with it. So if we're going to go, welcome to a world of plants, which is a nice little entry statement we want to make, then we might go, well, this background isn't very inspiring. So it allows us then hover on here, change the image in the background. Let's just say we'll select an image from a library of images that are available already on here. So what can we already see that's already something that relates to plants? There's a lot of very abstract things in there. The beautiful thing is though, you can search for photos. So we can say, let's just say searching for ferns. We want some ferns as a background. So here's some royalty-free photography that lets you look at different kind of photos you could use in your search term. So let's say if we're looking at ferns, I might take this one here. It looks like a really nice photo. I select it and then it installs it into the back there. See how this is saying adjusting for readability? What it does is says, I really want these words to stand out. So I'm going to darken that background picture down so that the words then stand out. So I've got a really nice header that's now built for this. If we go and now preview this, we can see that it looks like this on the mobile, looks like this on the tablet, and looks like this on a desktop. So we're looking really on track for a really nice website. Now on this home page, I want to create a little bit more. So I might want to create a bit of a statement about who we are and what we do. So I might just create this little layout here. Now over on the right hand side, you've got lots of different tools that you can add in. I can add in a text box. I can add in more photos. I can add in embedded materials such as, you know, booking calendars from Calendly. Maybe it could be a YouTube video, perhaps something like that comes with embedded code that we can put in there. For now though, I'm just going to enter this layout here. So I click on it and it instantly puts that in there. Now over here I get to naturally pick another photo. So if I go now and select another image, it brings me up the box where I can either look at the images I already have, or I can look for images on Google. So I'm now going to look for bromeliad because they're one of my favorite types of plants. There we go. So we've got a whole bunch of bromeliads in there. So what I'm going to do is insert one of my favorite photos in there. Maybe blushing bromeliad's usually my favorite, but you know what? There's so many different varieties in there. I might choose this one here because this is not one I'm very familiar with. I select it, then I insert it, then boom, it lands in this box over here on the left. So I now have a new photo in there. I can actually now say here, open 7 days in Geelong, which is a suburb of Brisbane, by the way, in the north side. And then I can write a little bit about my actual plant store. So I can say Jack's Nursery is a world of tropical and subtropical plants made for drought tolerant gardens in southeast Queensland. We match our huge range of plants with expert advice from botanists and plant specialists who love gardens and know how to get the most out of your gardening plans. So then we've got a nice little mention about who we are. So you're already starting to say, this is a really nice looking website. It's quite pretty, right? Let's preview it again. So look at our world of plants, open 7 days in Geelong. Looks good on there. Kind of squish that over, but that's okay. We can add more to that. On the mobile phone, it does look really clear and clean. So let's go back to continue to design something. So in there we might say, okay, below this we want to have maybe a little layout of some images. So I can add an image carousel and then add the images I want to put in there. So I'm going to select a whole bunch of different images that give an idea of the kind of things you can put in there. So I'm going to go bromeliad again. So I'm going to add this one in here. Then I'm going to add some more photos. I'm going to add this time magnolia. There we go, beautiful magnolia plants. Absolutely gorgeous. Not that one. Let's just take this one. Then we'll add a few more things like maybe a peace lily. Like I know a few of these plants. So now looking for the plant, no, it doesn't being able to find a peace lily. So what I might do is find ferns again. I'm in the wrong area. Google image search, peace lily. That's why I'm getting it wrong. So I can take some photos of some peace lilies. Then we can add in maybe something like a bird of paradise. plant. So adding one of those, maybe a bit prettier one. I'm going to add in maybe another two more. So we can start to see how this is going to look. So let's add in now a rosella plant. There we go. So the rosella look like poppies, don't they? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then we'll add in 1 6th one, and then we're going to see what this looks like. So once we've added that in, we're going to then look at maybe again the gardenia, not particularly tropical, but you know, it's a beautiful plant with a gorgeous smell. Insert that in, it's given us now this image carousel. Now through that, I can then scroll through the different things. What I might want to do though is stretch that right out across the page. So I've now got a bit of an image gallery that I can read through. So let's now look at this on a preview. We've got our top, we've got our little statement there, and now we've got this lovely image gallery where I can just go through like this to look at the different kind of things they're able to show. And incredible, just a few minutes, we've created the front page of a very beautiful looking website. So once I come out of there, I go, well, I now want maybe an About Us page. So to create pages, you pop over on the right, go Pages, and then the plus button allows you to add in a new page that you're going to call About Us. And now it forms a little menu up at the top here. So in the About Us section, I can go back to insert a section that allows me now to talk more about who we actually are. So what I might do in this one is just create just an area of text. So I can now write anything I like about this. So I'm just going to go and get some lorem ipsum text. If you've ever seen this before, it's like dummy text that fills up a page. So of you know, text that sort of fills the gap for you. So I'm going to grab this one and copy it in there so we can sort of have a look at what that roughly looks like with text in it. There you go. So then you can have, you know, you continue to go down and repeat that. And then you might want to add in then some photos at the bottom. So you can do that just by adding in images. So with this text section, I can go, well, actually what I want to do is put that text over here and leave room for some photos over on the right. So then I insert an image, select an image. Let's just say, look for nursery or plant nursery. So we can sort of get an idea of what this particular nursery is going to look like. So let's say maybe this one looks like a pretty good photo. And it's going to pop it into the first available spot, which is over here. What I want to do then is drag that up here and put it where I want it to be. I can make it wider, so it fills up more of the page. But I also can make it deeper, so it actually fills up more of that spot there too. Looks cool, huh? So now we've got two pages. So if I go and now preview this, I've now got the About Us page and the Home page. Home with my beautiful gallery, and the About Us page now with the information I put in and a photo on the side. So you can see this is probably the most easy to use website building software that's ever been invented. And trust Google to do it, you know, to do it in the Googliest kind of way that makes it really simple for you to use. So you're then playing with a piece of software that doesn't feel like software. It actually feels like you're just dragging and dropping elements in. Now, you can get a lot more skillful with this. For instance, if I go back to my home page and I go, well, you know, this kind of font really isn't the font I want to use. I want to do a bit more. You can choose these themes. And these themes give you some basic ideas of the kinds of things you can do with these headers. So for instance, if I pick Diplomat, it then changes all my fonts to be a bit more, I don't know, upright and formal. Creates a header that has this box around it. I can also change, you know, the style of the font from a classic to a light if I want to go back to something like that, and then to a more heavy font if I want something really chunky. So I'm going to go back to the classic. The same thing goes with all these other ones. Let's say level, which puts a line there that I can then go, well, I want that to be green because it's, you know, plants, I want it to be green. And it puts a background on there that you then got like boxes which have got backgrounds on them as well. Particularly if we want to look at that and look at the About Us page and how different that looks now, we can also change the theme on this page. to that same one level. So it's already done it, see? Go back to our home page, and then you can play with any of these kind of themes to give yourself a better perspective, I guess, on what your style is going to be and how you're going to express yourself. Impression, vision. Remembering you can change your font styles in there too. Or let's go maybe something like Aristotle, which is just like a little line on it, but it's very sort of matter of fact. It's very, very clear what it does. So there's not a huge amount of options in there, but there's enough for you to make a really cool website that allows you to do that. Now, using Google's Sites tool, you can then go publish that site, and it will give you an address that you can do. Now, in my case, I'm using a business account with Google, but what I want to do is make that visible for everybody. So I don't want to make it just with those people. I want to make it so it goes to pretty much anyone can see this. So make it not restricted, but anyone with a link will be able to see this site now. So when I go to publish it, it's going to have this long, drawn out, horrible name. But that's because, you know, that's part of my account with Google as a business manager. What I want to do though is then add something like a domain name to that. So if I want to add a domain name to that, there's another process for that you have to go through things like your settings in order to do that sort of stuff. But it does allow you to have things like Google Analytics in there. It does allow you to add your images, logos, and favorite icons, and then allows you to, you know, customize your experience of the builder. What you mainly want to do is add things like domain names, which you can do later on down the track. So what you do, you build the site, make it look great, and then you can add the domain name after that when you go to publish that. Once it's published, you can add a domain name, and then it can be, you know, say, jacksnursery.com.au. Although booking domain names through Google Sites at the moment doesn't allow you to have a .com.au, only a .com. So you've got to be aware of that. You can only have a .com, so you have to make sure that your favorite domain name for your business is actually available. So now you've looked at, I guess, a way of producing a website that isn't going to cost the earth, and it's going to be something that you can have a little bit of fun doing. So it's going to give you the opportunity to do it in a way that is going to be easy, simple to maintain, and something that you're actually going to have a little bit of creativity around. Next, though, we're going to look at getting your site, no matter where you've built it. It could be WordPress, it could be Wix, it could be Weebly, it could be Google Sites, anywhere. You now want to have that website listed on Google so people can find you. After all, if they can't find you, they can't buy from you, they can't become a new customer, and that's what we want to avoid. Google My Business is a tool that is a free tool made by Google that allows you to create a profile of your business on their network. Now, your Google My Business is free, it's quick to set up, really easy to use, and sometimes if you're in a regional area, it could be a little bit hard for you to get your postcards sent in the mail to prove who you are. But there are some workarounds with that, and Google are trying to make it a little bit easier for businesses to verify who they are and where their business is located. Now, on top of Google My Business, which is free, you can use a product called Google Ads. Now, you would have seen this every time you've been to Google, you type in something like, you know, I'm looking for nurseries in Geebung in Queensland, or I'm looking for a nursery near Leederville in Western Australia. And with that, you'll find that ads appear first, then what they call the 3-pack, with people who are in the local area who do that specific kind of thing. And then underneath that, then you've got what they call the organic results. So generally, we always trying to get to those organic results. But if you're in a really competitive place, in a really competitive market, and what you're doing is something that lots of other people are doing, it can be very, very difficult for you to get your business to show up at the top of Google. You might go, well, I want my business to show up at the top of Google. I should be able to have it. Yeah, you can do that. And the way to get that to happen, if you're not willing to do a lot of work at creating content and technically tweaking your site and promoting your site and marketing your site through other platforms like Facebook, for instance, then you're going to have to pay your way to get to the top. And that's through buying Google Ads. Now, Google Ads are not particularly cheap. You're not going to get really much of a result out of Google Ads unless you're paying about $300 to $350 a month minimum, and that's for most regional centers. When you're going into maybe smaller towns, that amount of money might be around about $150 to $200. But when you're looking at cities like Brisbane, Gold Coast, Perth, any Adelaide, Sydney, Melbourne, any of those cities that are large and have over 500,000 people, then your costs are going to skyrocket. For a particular pest control company I was working with, we were getting away with about $500 a month for them. But the reality is nowadays, that particular pest control company is paying nearly $2,500 per month to advertise themselves. Now, in terms of what they make per month for their business, which is around about $25,000 a month, that $2,500 equates to about 10% of what their revenue is, which is about what you expect to spend on advertising a fairly established business. In the early stages of starting up, though, you may have to spend up to 25% of your actual revenue to keep the momentum going, to get people knowing who you are. Now, the reason why it costs you more when you're starting up is because you don't have people doing word of mouth. You don't have people who are already doing the advertising for you. When you're established, they've got plenty of customers behind you who are telling other people about you so that they're doing word of mouth advertising for you. Google Ads sort of shortcuts that and it says, I'm not going to wait for that word of mouth to happen. I'm going to skip to the top now and hopefully get those results sooner. But as I said, it's going to cost you money. The other way of getting your process of your business showing up higher on the Google search results, when someone looks for, say, for instance, plant nursery in Perth, is to use search engine optimization techniques. Now, this is the slow way. It is the painful way to do it. And it does take a lot of learning and a lot of thinking and a lot of working your way around, I guess, the assumptions of what the Google algorithm, I guess, does. And when you're looking at that, that's your way to go, well, how am I going to be doing this with the limited time I do have available to me? Let's say, for instance, you are working in a small business and it's pretty much just you that works in a small business. You don't have staff yet, you don't have contractors, it's just you. For every hour that you're spending on learning how to do SEO or search engine optimization is an hour that you're not working your business. For every day that you put into trying to generate backlinks from other websites to your website or generate more traffic by writing more content, that's another day that you're taking away from working in your business and actually getting the work done that your business actually does. That says in the early days of your business, you may not be all that busy. There may not be that many customers. There may not be that many clients. So you've got time to spend on upskilling yourself. Hence why you're probably watching this at the moment. And by the way, as a reminder, if you are watching this on YouTube right now, why don't you give us a bit of a blessing by hitting that subscribe button so that when new things come up from Business Station or come up from myself, Dante St James, you'll be able to see them coming through and you'll be able to watch them nice and easily as well. And like and comment on this too, especially if you've got any questions about some of the content you've come across. So search engine optimization may be a cheaper process than paying for Google Ads, but it does take a lot longer. And you're going to spend a lot of time optimizing your website to be found. The process of getting found on Google, your first step is always going to be using the free tool that's there for every business, which is Google My Business. Now, it can take weeks to get verified. In Australia particularly, we don't have, they often say that when you do set it up, and you'll see this shortly, it'll say that you need 6 days, you should have a postcard in the mail. Now, I live in Darwin, in the Northern Territory. I can tell you now, I've never had a postcard arrive in my mailbox within 6 days. 6 weeks is sometimes what it takes, but I do get it in as short as, say, 2 weeks, so about 14 days. So what Google says in 6 days may apply to you if you're in Sydney or Melbourne or Brisbane, maybe. But even then, I don't know if too many people have got theirs in 6 days. So that first step being for Google My Business, it is a free step and a vital step that you have to go. Now, if you're going to go down the paid route of Google Ads, you can go to ads.google.com and start that process. But you've also got a lighter version of Google Ads that's available through your Google My Business profile. And that Google My Business profile is a great place for you to actually do that advertising because it makes lots of suggestions. Its machine learning algorithm helps you to make the whole advertising process so much easier. Or you go down the SEO path, which is earning your place on Google's ranking algorithm. And you can spend time developing your online presence, spend time developing your reputation, and spend time developing your findability as well. Because ultimately, if you want to be found, and you want the ability to be found to be something that's very easy for customers to do. You don't want them having to spend umpteen hours trying to find you, only to give up on you and then go to everyone else. So that way, you're making sure that people are able to get to you as soon as possible, and also be able to get you to the point where you can easily converse with your customer, exchange messages with your customer, and turn them into a paying customer as well. So let's take a look at Google My Business as a tool that you'll be able to use for your business. I've got lots and lots of businesses listed under my particular one. What I'm going to do now, though, I'm going to put down a new location for a new business concept that I'm going to put in my particular area where I live. So what I'm going to do is go and look at one of my businesses that I haven't yet registered on Google My Business. So I'll look up my ABN number, give me an ID, put in my name. We can see that I've registered a number of different business names under there. So the one that I'm going to concentrate on this one today is Tourism Marketing Workshops. That's going to be the name of the business I'm going to register on Google My Business. So what I will do is, you'll have a slightly different thing where it actually says get started and takes you through this process. If I add this business, it will then show you the exact same thing you'll see. This is what you'll see when you go to business.google.com. So I'm going to type in the name of my business, which is Tourism Marketing Workshops. So it's going to first of all say, hey, that looks pretty good. Check it. Make sure that's what you want to call it. I've actually spelt it wrong, so thankfully I did check that. Tourism Marketing Workshops sounds good. Next. Now that I've got the name, I go, what do I want to categorize this as? So I'm going to say workshops. No, not really anything in there. Maybe education, consultant. Yeah, that's probably good. I'm more of an educational consultant than a teacher, put it that way. Next, do I want to add a location that people can visit, like a store or an office? So I don't want to actually have people come to my location because it's my home. So I'm going to go, no, I don't want to do that, but I can say now, where do I serve my customers? My customers are Australia-wide. So that I'm going to serve people right across Australia. Do I have a contact phone number? Yeah, sure do. 042 8814 Do I have a current website? Well, I don't have that particular one, but what I'm going to do is list my other website as being relevant to it. Or I can build a website based upon the things I'm going to put in my Google My Business profile. And this also allows you to build another website using a similar tool to Google's Sites tool. But this isn't a Google site. This is slightly different. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to get a website based on this information. So it's going to be a website that contains things like my phone number and my current website, which I'm no longer going to do, and my address and all the information, including things I'm going to post on this profile later. So I'm going to go back and just make sure that I want to get a free website. Okay, do I want to be able to promote my business with photos and posts? Yeah, I do. Do I want to track my business analytics to understand my customers? Absolutely. Do I want to respond to customer reviews? Positively. So now what it's doing is setting up my profile, saying that I need to enter a mailing address to verify that I exist. Now, this is where you might strike some trouble. If you are, for instance, picking up as you're a country area and you have to go to town to your post office box, it's not going to accept post office boxes. But there's a new service from Australia Post which does allow you to list your post office box as a suite number. So what you can do is, if you elect to do that, I think it's an extra $5 or something very, very small like that to your already post office box or locked bag address at the post office. Instead of going so PO Box 36078, which is my post office box in Winnelly in Darwin. You can have Suite 36078 and then the address of the post office. So that's a way, but you do have to enable that so that the people at the post office can actually route your mail to in the correct place. So my street address, I'm going to get them to send this to because I can receive mail at this address. It's 6639 Kavanagh Street, and it's got there Darwin City. Fills in my details for me. Next, and it's going to ask me how I want to receive that. Now, sometimes there's some more options down there, but because they know they can send this to me, I'm going to enter my name in there as well, so it's addressed to me. It's now going to send me a postcard in the mail to verify this particular business name, which I own, at that address. So I tell it to mail, and what it sends me now is a postcard. See how it says in about 6 days? It won't be there in 6 days. But it will send me a postcard that then contains a postcard, an introduction to Google My Business, and a little sticker that you can put on your premises if you've got one. Let's continue that. So even though I haven't yet gone to the point where I can verify my account, and it won't show on Google My Business or within the Google network yet until I do verify it by putting in a code that comes in that postcard, I can start to add in more about my business and start to fill out this profile a bit more. So it's actually, with me saying I'm an educational consultant, it's already suggesting that I also look at career counseling, which is not something I do. But I can add a custom service, which is tourism workshops, business workshops, small business consultant, tourism education consultant. I can add some more of those. I can add quite a lot of them, in fact. Now I'll save that, and it will now list in those categories, those new categories that I've created. Now what I want to do is add my opening hours. Monday, I will open at 8 o'clock and close at 6 o'clock. Oops, not that one. 6 p.m. And then I can go Tuesday, I'm going to do the same, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I can just copy and paste these ones in there. So I can go, yeah, bang, 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 bang. And the same with the 6 p.m. Unfortunately, it doesn't auto-populate across those days. So you have to do that yourself. Save. Okay, do I want to accept messages? Now, messages come through the Google My Business app. So you've got to be willing to have your phone on you to answer those questions. Because if you don't answer those questions, then they will take the ability of those. They'll take the ability to receive instant messages from customers making inquiries away from you. I've seen this used extensively by customers, particularly if you're selling products that they want to come and buy. They want to check with you first, and they don't necessarily want to phone you. Because sometimes phone calls can be a bit awkward. So yeah, I want to accept messages. And now I can put in a description about my business. Tourism Workshops Australia delivers live in-person training events and online webinars to tourism and travel operators across Australia in the areas of marketing, digital marketing, business growth, and pivoting during hard times. Head trainer, Dante St James, which is me, is one of just a handful of accredited Facebook and Instagram trainers in Australia holding certifications across many platforms, marketing frameworks, and has experience delivering digital skills learning to hundreds of Australian, my goodness, my typing's terrible today, tourism and travel businesses. So I've used 521 out of my 750 characters. That's enough for me right now. Now I can start to add photos in of my business. Now I might say, these are the kind of photos you want to add. I don't have a shop front for this business. I operate it out of home. So I can add photos that are more to do with the kind of work I do. So the kind of work I do, all I'm going to do is add in photos of things like me. So I might look for a photo of me. So I've got my niece photo, which is a good photo. That's a very up-to-date, relevant photo of me right now, or at least taken in October, so not that up-to-date. And then if I just have that one, that's the one photo that's going to show on my Google My Business profile. So I go, for instance, to look for one of my other businesses. When I'm talking about the profile photo, I'm talking about this thing that shows over here. So it's showing now a picture of a house. So I really need to change that on that particular profile by adding in something else. So what I might do is add in, say for instance, a photo of my logo in there, so that instead of showing a photo of my parents' house in Ormonde, Queensland, I'm going to be showing a photo of a of a piece of content that looks like it's meant to be there. In my case, adding a photo will be adding a photo of the Clickstarter logo. So let's see if I can find one. Under downloads, look for the word logo, maybe OBM social posts. I'll find one in here. There's got to be some of them. I've got a lot of logos in here that could take me a while. How about I go to a place where I know my logo lives, which is on my Canva. So we go into logos. I go down until I find the logo I'm looking for. It's a good thing I always keep these in here. It makes them nice and easy to find. There we go. I want to get this blue one, so download. And now I'll be able to pick this one up and load it up into Google for that particular account. So isn't that funny? That isn't the particular account that I was looking for. So I go add in this one. The one I was looking at was over here. So I can add that into that old profile in there. And that will now replace that with a new photo. So that instead of showing a photo of my parents' house, that I happen to be close by to at the moment, it's going to show now a photo of that logo. So if I refresh that, hopefully it shows straight away, but it may actually take a couple of days before that actually occurs. So then we look at things such as going back into my Google My Business profile. If I'm going to use that one, I'm going to make that the main logo that's going to show. Now I can also start my advertising journey with Google My Business right here. I can actually start advertising in minutes to get that going really, really quickly, and allowing me to put together automated ads like that if I wish to. I'm going to skip over that for now because I don't actually want to do that right now. Now it's telling me my profile's almost ready, but there's a few more things I can do to make it work better. It's still pending verification. I'll get that code sent to me in the mail, but I can add managers, so other people in the business to help me manage the business presence on Google. I can create posts that get shared, although these won't show until this verification has gone through. I can add my company logo and more photos. I can look at the business website that's actually set up for me, tourismmarketingworkshops.business.site. Now this automatically generates a website based upon the information that I put in my profile. So it's given the name, it's telling me what I am, when I'm open till, I can order a quote. So put that in, it's going to send me a message. It's got a general photo on there, my business hours, just all the information I put in there. So what I may want to do is add more stuff in there to make that look good. So to do that, what I will do is add posts. So that allows me to then show that I've got things going on in my business, updates, events, workshops, that sort of thing. I can then also add other things such as, look at this, online classes. So I do a lot of online classes, so I can put those classes there and list them. I can update my business hours, particularly when we have the Anzac Day weekend coming up in Australia. that's a great opportunity to make sure, well, is it a public holiday where you are, and are you still open on a public holiday? Down in the info section is where we add a lot more information about the business. And by information, I mean things like selecting the kind of areas that you serve and where you may locate, where you may deliver to, if that's something you do. You can add things like a different website once you've built another website off this platform. One thing I find is really good for you to put in is a list of products. Even if those products are not physical, if they are classes, if they are consultation sessions, this is a good place to list them. Every bit of extra stuff that you put into this particular tool will then also populate out your included website if you selected to have one. And you can then add in things about, attributes about your business, whether you identify as a woman-led business, whether masks are required when they get there. If you want to say certain things about the fact that you have appointments required to come and visit your business, that could be really important. Or whether you have online classes that are available in this sort of post-COVID world. I can update my bio about my business and the description, and even add an opening date of when that business is. Most importantly, we want to add in some photos. So if we've got more photos to add in, we can add those there. I can also see any messages I've got, any reviews that people have had. Now, obviously it's not live yet, so there's no actual reviews in there yet. But if there was, and people leaving reviews for your business, this is where they would appear. And as I move down here and look at my different products, my different services, and that website that I'm building, I can now go into that website and do a bit of work on it. Like for instance, I can buy that domain now and add it to my website for $18 a year. That's a pretty good deal. Or I can just edit now this whole site, share it to other people, view what it looks like live, or read some tips that Google give you to build a better website. This is different to Google Sites. This is part of their business package for you. Now I can change those themes much like you can do in Google Sites. So it's very much similar. I'm going to do that one, this one. You can see what they look like. And you just go and pick what it is that suits your particular kind of business more. So for me, this is probably the one, or this one maybe. That looks kind of cool. And then I can edit the site. So if I save those changes I just made, I can then, instead of getting a quote, I can have a contact us button, or a make an appointment, or message us. I can get them to message me through WhatsApp, which I do have a WhatsApp message that goes through that. It comes up on my phone. So it's already set up, ready to go. That description I can change to, instead of educational consultant, I can say tourism marketing workshops Australia-wide. Delivering live and online workshops Australia-wide. So it gives me a bit more information about what the business really does. I can have a summary header, which just says, a little bit more about my business. And I can even sort of make these bits of text bold if I want to. I can make the whole thing more bold, or make it italics as well. And then put in things like dot points and numbered points as well. One thing that might be really important for me is to add some photos on there. So adding some photos on my site might be a good idea, because I want to make sure that people know who this site's actually about. So I might go, okay, I'll look for my photo of me again. This Dante Nice one is a perfect example. As I add it in there, then that photo becomes present on my website. See down the bottom here, and I can add more photos along there as well. And there's more options in there. So for instance, I can update my site's name. So this site address here, I can buy a custom domain, which they're already offering for me to do up there. I can completely unpublish the website as well. I can't verify at the moment because I don't have the code from Google sent to me, but I can read on and change more things on this service if I really want to. So when I now look at my site, it's going to look a little bit different. So it's got now a different header. This photo I can move and change. And now it's starting to have more photos down the bottom here. So as I build this out, I've then got a site that pretty much is built to create something usable on the internet for that business. Now, I don't particularly want to do this. In fact, I want to remove this because I've got my own website I'm building elsewhere. So I can unpublish that website and remove it for now so that nobody can actually see it, which is what I want. And then move back into my Google My Business profile and continue the journey. So now that we've understood how Google My Business works and the power of it and how you can build your own stuff in there to make your way around the whole Google and SEO process, even build a new website in there as well, we're looking at being present on social media. And there's really only 3 networks that are massively important for you to have some kind of presence on. First of all, Facebook. Your business page on Facebook is the front page where people are always being active. People spend an inordinate amount of time on Facebook, far more than they like to admit. But that's not such a bad thing. It just means that simply that some people are very active on things where they're interacting with other people. So if your audience is very active on something like Facebook, then you should be too, or at least be present on Facebook. The other places are Instagram, which is the very much attractive side of your business. So that's going to be where you're putting your best foot forward, where you're creating the best stuff as well. And then finally, if you're selling to businesses, not just individuals, then it's important for you to be in something like LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn is a very, very important channel for those who are selling to businesses, selling to corporations, and want to put a professional face going forward. It allows you to be able to then go forward and make sure that you are presenting a face that is made for business, not just for people. It's not about taking selfies under waterfalls and being really influential. It's about creating content that appeals to business people and that puts your business first and in the forefront, so people can know that you are very much a very professional business that's geared towards servicing other businesses as well. So now that we know that Facebook is probably the primary place where you need to be, in Instagram and LinkedIn, we can take a look at how you need to be present on social. Facebook is the biggest and has the most business-friendly tools available. LinkedIn's got some pretty good business tools as well. You can show your best side on Instagram, but with LinkedIn, it's where you connect personally with professional contacts and your peers and some potential clients that you can find on there as well, particularly if you're selling services to business as opposed to products to consumers. So let's look at creating those social media presences. I've got my Facebook account open over here, and in my Facebook feed, I can say, okay, here's all the stuff that's going on in my particular feed. Lots of little notifications coming up. There's lots going on all the time in Facebook. Over on the left, I've got my shortcuts, but I've also got pages here. See that? So I click on pages. It shows me the pages that I already manage. But also I want to look at creating a page, and everyone will have the opportunity to create their own business page. So I'm going to create a page based on the same stuff we were doing in there: tourism, marketing, workshops. Australia. The category is going to be education. Consultant, I can add in education itself. Tourism, local service maybe, yeah, maybe that too. And then I can put in that same description I was putting into my Google My Business profile. Remember, I had that description, so I can copy and paste that from Google My Business into my Facebook page. There you go. So it's only taking the first bit, but that's good. I only need the first bit. And then I go to create the page. And in here, it's going to say, okay, I've now created your page. It's time to add things like a header, images, and a profile photo for you. So now that I've done that, I follow this, images, I can add my profile picture, which I don't really have a profile picture other than a photo of me. So I'm just going to add in a photo of myself, which is this one, downloads, niece. And then I can, yeah, so it's now put that in there with a photo of me. And my cover photo now, I want to look for something which is a bit more appropriate for that. So I don't really have a lot of wide photos, so I might want to pop over to Canva to make one that has people sitting in a workshop or a conference. So let's create a design, which is going to be a Facebook, come on, you can do it, Facebook cover. There you go, Facebook cover has already got a style. And I'm going to look for photos in here of conference. In that conference, I can then have a bunch of people watching something. So it could be that group there, or maybe something more like, that's more realistic. We don't want to be over the top. Something like this one here, maybe the microphone. And I'm going to download that one. I'll give it a name first, conference. So these are really quick ways that you can create content to go on your website or on your social media to fill those gaps so it doesn't look quite so unprofessional. There we go. So I'm now able to add in my cover photo because I've made one. Conference is there. Here it goes. Now it's loading up and there we go. So I've got my cover photo. I've got my business profile photo. Let's save that in place. I'm now happy with what that is. And now I can add in things like my phone number, so which is 042 8814666. Please don't spam me. I can send my code to verify that. So it's now sending me through a code, which I'll now add in, which is coming onto this phone. So I'll pick it up, and any moment now, a code will come through SMS to verify that. Just taking its sweet time because I don't have a particularly strong phone connection where I am. And once I've done that, it says, okay, now people can now do this. Now what this has also done is sent something through to this particular version of my WhatsApp. So my WhatsApp that I've downloaded on my phone isn't that right version. So it's going to take me a while to actually do that. It's not going to come through. They have sent one through, which was last night for a different thing. So that's not what I'm looking for. So I may need to go and get all that set up for my WhatsApp. So I can skip that over and then continue on to now continue to set up my page, establish my identity by adding a profile picture. I've done that. So I can say, yep, I've finished that. I can then add a profile picture, which I've skipped, add my description. I've done all those. And there's all these steps here that mean that you're able to give yourself a good start. I've got a website that I started to build in my Google My Business profile, which would be live. So that one's a really good one I could try out and have a look at. Gives some location information where I am, my hours, just like my Google My Business profile, phone number, messaging, calls to action such as book now, that sort of thing can all be added in there. So once you've done that, it's time for you to start creating posts that are relevant to people who will come to follow your page. Now that might be a bit of a way down, might take a bit of a while, but that's how you essentially start off your Facebook profile. In LinkedIn, if you've already got a profile on LinkedIn for you as a person, you can go to work, under me is where you want to go, and see how you've got all this information on here. I've got all these business pages I manage. I can then add more business pages in there as well. So under work, it is under work, I can create a company page. So I create my company page and then do the same thing. It's a small business called Tourism Marketing Workshops. So as I start to put all that together, it's pretty much exactly the same thing as what you're doing on Facebook. Creates an identity, you can list a website, list your contact details, the industry you're in, your size of your company, the company type, whether it's sole trader, public company, privately held, all that sort of thing. Add your logo like I did with the other one, which is just a photo of me really. Add a tagline, verify that you are an authorized representative, and it then creates your business's presence on LinkedIn. And the same thing goes, you can create posts that don't just go to your LinkedIn profile, but go to your LinkedIn company page as well. So once you've got all that set up, you're well on your way to pretty much getting yourself online instantly in your business, which is certainly going to be a lot more, I guess, fun and interesting than having to stress yourself out and do all that hard work to not really have any sort of effect on business online. So if you really wanted to do it in the cheapest, easiest way, I just gave you the easy answers there. Use Google Sites to build a great looking website you can add a domain name to later. You can use Google My Business to then make your presence known officially on Google, and then also create a website through that. There's no problem in having two of those. They're easy to update and they're free. You just have to pay, what, $18 for a domain name each year? That's a great thing you can do. And then you can set up your business presence on both Facebook, LinkedIn, and then down the track you can go to other things like Pinterest and Instagram and other social media networks just like that. So now you've got an idea of how quick and easy it can be done, you can start your business as well. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I hope you've learned something great out of this. And if you'd like to know more, you can email me through the Business Station email address or my own. And remember, you can watch this later on YouTube as well. Just look for my name, Dante St James, or Business Station on YouTube to watch this again. Thank you and have a fantastic week.